You're standing in near total darkness, close enough to touch him, blade already in your hand. The cave smells of cold stone and animal droppings, and you can hear nothing but his breathing and your own pulse in your ears. Saul's a few feet away, alone, vulnerable, completely unaware you're even in here. The same king who's thrown spears at your head more than once, the same king who sent 3,000 men into these hills just to find you and end this. Your own men crouch behind you, breath held. God has given him into your hand, one whispers. Kill him now. One cut. That's all it takes. Years of running end tonight. You step forward. You raise the blade. But you cut a corner off his robe instead and let him walk out of that cave alive.
Rewind about 12 years. Your father Jesse doesn't even bother calling you in from the flock when the prophet Samuel shows up asking to see all his sons. 7 older brothers walk past Samuel one at a time. Tall, broad, exactly what a king is supposed to look like. Samuel shakes his head at every one of them. Someone finally remembers there's an 8th son still out with the sheep. You walk in smelling like wet wool and lanolin, sunburned across the neck, hands rough from years of slinging stones at wolves. Samuel takes one look and pours oil over your head anyway. The Lord doesn't see the way people see, he tells your father, who looks like he's mentally rewriting his whole family tree. Here's the part nobody explains to you afterward. Saul is still king. Nobody's told him any of this happened. You go back to the sheep the next morning like nothing changed, because as far as the rest of Israel knows, nothing did. You're anointed and unemployed on the same day. Try putting that on a resume. By 15, you've killed a lion and a bear with your bare hands and a wooden club, both times because they went for a lamb, and you weren't about to explain that loss to your father. The lion's roar shakes your chest before you even see it break from the brush. You grab it by the mane, actual teeth inches from your hand, and you don't let go until it stops moving. Nobody in Bethlehem asks how a shepherd boy does that twice. You don't offer an explanation either. You just keep counting sheep. By 16, word arrives that King Saul needs someone who can play the lyre, because dark moods keep crashing over him like weather nobody can predict. And somebody remembers the shepherd boy who plays well. First night in the palace, mid-song, Saul's mood turns black, and a spear leaves his hand aimed straight at your head. You duck. Keep playing. Nobody in the room even flinches. Apparently, this happens often enough that ducking is just part of the job now. Play, Saul growls, like nothing happened, like a spear didn't just stick in the wall behind you. You play. Your father sends you to the battle line not long after, with bread and cheese for your brothers, because that's what teenagers do in this family. Chores, even during a war. That's where you first hear him, Goliath. His voice alone rattles loose stones on the hillside. 40 days he's done this, and 40 days straight, every soldier in Israel's army has found somewhere else to look. You don't look away. Saul doesn't think you should go. You're a boy, he says. He's been a warrior since he was your age. You tell him about the lion and the bear, and something in his face gives. The exact look of a man who's run out of better options. He puts his own armor on you anyway. Bronze helmet, chainmail, a sword too heavy for your arm. You take 3 steps and nearly fall over. You strip it all off and walk out with the only weapon you've ever actually used. A sling, 5 smooth stones from the creek bed, and a stick. Goliath sees you coming and starts laughing before you're even in range. Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks? His voice booms off the hills, loud enough that birds scatter from nearby trees. He's got a spear with an iron head the size of a loom beam, armor that must weigh more than you do, and 40 days of confidence that nobody's going to test him. You're about to test him. You answer him first. Then you answer him with your arm. 1 stone, 1 swing, straight into his forehead before he's finished his sentence. He drops face first into the dirt like a felled tree. You run to him, pull his own sword from its sheath,
heavier than anything you've ever held, and finish it. The whole Philistine army turns and runs. Women line the roads on your way home, singing a song that gets your name and Saul's name in the same sentence, except your number's bigger. Saul has killed his thousands, they sing, and David his 10,000s. Saul hears that song exactly once and never forgives you for it. Soon Saul is no longer merely listening while you play. He is trying to pin you to the wall. You go from the boy who saved the kingdom to the man the king wants dead, inside the same year, without doing anything except winning too well. You're king over all 12 tribes now, and the first thing you do with that power is march an army into Jerusalem and take it from people who thought their walls made them untouchable. You rename it the City of David, because apparently that's allowed when you're the one holding the sword. Next, you go to bring the Ark of the Covenant home to the city, the actual presence of God, loaded onto a cart for the journey. The oxen pulling it stumble on the road. A man named Uzzah reaches out on instinct to catch it before it falls. He's dead before his hand finishes moving. Terrified, you leave the ark at a stranger's house for 3 months before trying again. Second time, you do it right. Carried on shoulders, not dragged on a cart. Drums, horns, singing the whole way into the city. The kingdom keeps growing. Armies fall in front of you one after another. You decide it's time to build God an actual house, a permanent temple, the first one Israel's ever had. Not you, the prophet Nathan tells you. Your son builds this one. You've spent too much of your life at war. 40 years on this throne, kingdom bigger than it's ever been, more sons in this palace than you can easily count. One of them is about to become the most dangerous thing you've ever faced. And he's already living down the hall. The first sign is a crowd, bigger every morning, gathered at the city gate before you're even awake to hold court. Your son Absalom gets there first now. He stops every person walking in with a complaint or a lawsuit, listens, tells them their case is good, but there's no one appointed to actually hear it, then adds, quiet enough to sound like sympathy, if only I were the judge in this land. Years of this. A crowd that trusts him more than they trust you. Turns out, loyalty in this family is seasonal. Then one day, he asks to travel to Hebron for a sacrifice, and by the time word reaches you, he's already declared himself king there, and half of Israel's gone over to him, including your own advisor, a man you trusted with everything. Get up, your commanders tell you, now, or none of us make it out of this city alive. An army is already marching toward Jerusalem, led by your own child. You don't have the numbers to hold the walls. You don't have time to argue about it. So you run. Barefoot, head covered, climbing the Mount of Olives while you cry the whole way up, with whatever guards are still loyal walking silently behind you. You built this city with your own hands 20 years ago. You're leaving it the same way you arrived, with nothing. And no idea if you're getting it back. Before the two armies meet, you give one order to your commanders, loud enough that everyone hears it. Deal gently, for my sake, with the young man Absalom. They don't listen. Absalom's hair, thick, famous, the kind people wrote songs about, catches in an oak's low branches while he's riding through the woods. He hangs there, alive and stuck, until your general finds him and finishes what the tree started. A runner sprints toward the city gate with news of the battle. You're not waiting to hear if you won. You're waiting for one word about one person. Is the young man Absalom safe, you ask, before the runners even caught his breath? He isn't safe. He's gone. You climb to the room above the gate and stay there. Your army waits outside to celebrate a war you never wanted to win this badly. My son, Absalom, I wish I had died in your place. You're 70. Old age hits you sideways. You can't stay warm no matter how many blankets they pile on, can't hold a sword steady anymore, and decades of running from Saul, fighting wars, and burying sons all catch up to your body at once. While you're still breathing, one of your surviving sons tries to crown himself before your body's even cold.
Bathsheba and Nathan move fast enough to name Solomon instead. 40 years on the throne, 7 in Hebron, 33 in Jerusalem. Then you die, buried in the same city you once had to fight your way into. A shepherd boy nobody bothered calling in from the field becomes the standard every king after him gets measured against and mostly fails to reach. David held a kingdom together for 40 years and still watched his sons tear each other apart while he was alive to see it. Alexander built one of the largest empires the ancient world had ever seen and left nobody who could hold it together the moment he died. Both built something bigger than themselves. Both watched it break in real time. Click here if you missed him.